ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Russell Athletic. The Boise State Broncos have come to the San Joaquin Valley, and Fresno State would love to add to their long and proud history with an upset over the Bronx. Beautiful night here at Bulldog Stadium as the fifth-ranked team in the country has arrived. Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Tessitore, as always, joined by my partner, Rod Gilmore. And Rod, Boise State came into this season with all the hype. They delivered upon it with a win over a ranked team in Georgia. They looked good. They had the hype. They had the momentum. But everybody else in that BCS hunt was winning as well, catching up with them. A couple teams surpassed them. Now they look to keep pace.
You know, that Georgia game seems like a long time ago. It's like Boise State has been out of sight, out of mind. And you're right, they've given back some ground to other teams in the rankings. And when you look at their schedule, you start to realize they have precious few opportunities to impress voters going forward. A good, solid Fresno State team tonight, a TCU team down the road that's no longer ranked, a respected San Diego State, but not a lot of compelling games out there to get voters really excited about them.
Now, as for Fresno State, this is a team that does have some offensive weaponry. Undersized weaponry, but oversized stats.
Yeah, little guys, but big playmakers, you know. Guys who can really get it done, but they're not going to overwhelm you with size. You know, Robbie Rouse, outstanding running back, but only about 5'8", 180 pounds or so, but has carried the ball more than anybody else in college football. Jalen Saunders on the outside, he's only about 5'8", 5'9", but explosive. Over 27 yards a catch and the fastest guy on the Fresno State team. They're the explosive playmakers for this offense.
Well, Fresno's defense better be ready because the Broncos have scored 50-plus points 4 times recently in this series. Kickoff from Bulldog Stadium when we come back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Axe Styling. Get all the hold without the hard and get some hair action. And Prudential. Prudential. Bring your challenges.
There's the Boneyard, where they bury their big wins. Fresno's never been shy about taking on challenges, but in the history of this home field, never has a team has been ranked higher than Boise's current number 5. The last time they hosted Boise here, you see they were number 10. Played them tough into the 4th a few years ago. They had every chance late to beat Wisconsin. Here's Chris Peterson, Boise's head coach, his 6th year. All he did in his first 5 years was gather 61 wins, more than any coach in college football had in the first 5 years over the past century of the game. And Pat Hill, his 14th year at Fresno. Rod, we were with him yesterday. We asked him for his take on the program. He said, you know, I really think we're on the upswing. We've got a good quarterback who can play and only get better.
A lot of respect for Boise State, but he firmly believes his team has the right plan for taking on Boise State tonight.
Boise won the toss and deferred. Fresno State will receive. Trevor Harmon the kick. Isaiah Burse and Rashad Evans back deep for the Bulldogs.
You know what Mike Tyson said about people who have a plan?
What's that?
Everybody has one until you're punched in the mouth.
That's right. And here's the start of the plan for Fresno. Burse. And Burse is ripped down just short of the 15-yard line by Hazen Moss. So that brings out the 6'3" sophomore Derek Carr, who is following in his big brother's footsteps, the younger brother of David Carr, the former #1 overall NFL draft pick out of Fresno.
They are several years apart in age, about 12, but very similar in physical makeup and size.
And he will have 5'7" Robbie Rouse in a loaded backfield on first down. And Rouse gets the call. And Rouse pushes ahead for about a gain of 3.5. They say Derek Carr is a very good football IQ. Of course, he was always hanging around with David, was Derek.
Well, inevitably, there's the comparison to his brother David. And I can tell you, I put on the tape and watched. Physically, very similar. Arm strength, David's probably got a little stronger arm, but I think Derek has a quicker release.
Offensive coordinator Jeff Grady mentioned the same thing. 2nd and 6 now. And Carr's first pass of the night. And he just threw it out over the outstretched arm of Wiley. Let's look at the backs and receivers surrounding Derek Carr.
Well, they have speed out there. A lot of speed in their wide receiver sets. You mentioned Rouse in the backfield, good solid runner. Who fell at the fullback spot to help him. But Saunders is really quick on the outside. Devin Wiley, underneath route guy, really gets things done. They've had some changes in the offensive line. A couple of starters out. Their big challenge is dealing with that defensive line that is one of the best in college football.
And here's a down and distance that they worry about this Boise defense. 3rd and 6. And I think this Boise front seven is one of the best in the nation at getting after the passer. And the play clock was running down there.
Before the snap, delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So that'll back him up to a 3rd and 11.
Yeah, Tess, one of the things that we'll watch tonight is Shea McClellan, number 92, defensive lineman, right? He plays a little bit of everything for him. They use him as an outside linebacker. They put him at the nickel back spot, get him out in space, because he's so versatile and effective. He'll be all over the field.
17.5 career sacks for McClellan. Carr now on 3rd and 11. Short pass caught, and just 2 yards short of the line to make was Isaiah Burse. The tackle that came from Byron Howe.
Had to get that ball out quickly, quick release. But, you know, you talked about 3rd down. That Boise State defense really solid, and this is what they do. They get a stop, and they give great field position to their offense. They almost always wind up in a positive position when they come on the field.
So Andrew Shapiro on to punt to Mitch Burrows, who has the 13th best punt return average in the country at 15 yards a return. He is set up at the 40. And he calls for the fair catch, lets it take a bounce, and it takes a good bounce for Fresno inside the 25. So the senior, the lefty from Placer, Washington, and all of his 113 career touchdown passes is Kellen Moore. But last week, Rod, a rare 2-interception game.
Yeah, he struggled a bit. He actually missed on a few throws. And Chris Peterson said, wait a minute, everybody's overreacting. Folks are believing in the hype and the magic too much. He's allowed to have a few bad throws now and then, but not that often.
Of course, when you have a 42-2 overall record, they expect perfection. Here's Doug Martin. And that lower body strength of Martin pushes that pile out to the 29. It was taken down by Logan Harrell.
You know, talking to the Fresno State coaches about Kellen Moore, they weren't convinced he had a bad game last week. You know, they said, well, it looked like it could have been on the receivers. Maybe the ball was where it was supposed to be, but a young group of receivers, they weren't where they were supposed to be. But Kellen himself said this week, you know, we had some minor problems. We missed a few things. The blitz got us a couple times.
2nd and 5. And he gets it out to Boldevine, and that is their new target back out on the field, Geraldo Boldevine, who was just reinstated this week after the NCAA was looking into his eligibility.
He was one of 3 Dutch players that were held out for the first few ball games while the NCAA investigated, the university investigated, and tried to figure out the problems.
So that catch gives them a first down to the 40. Doug Martin now. And Martin was taken down by L.J. Jones. Martin with a gain of 4.
You know, you mentioned Kellen Moore's bad week, if you want to call it that, last week. It also kind of hurt him in the early Heisman voting. Didn't he take a step back?
Well, listen, guys have been so competitive putting up these amazing stats that he did. He dropped from 3rd in our polling at ESPN among the official voters down to 5th. We'll talk about that a little more as the evening goes on. 2nd and 6 now. Moore sets up the screen. This is Miller, and Matt Miller has Green ahead of him. Inside the 10, it'll be 1st and goal Boise as he was finally chased down by Isaiah Green.
You know, Tess, the thing that is so difficult about their screen game is they usually run double screens. They have a screen set up to the right and a screen set up to the left. And Kellen Moore picks where he wants to go. He takes a look to the left, comes back to the right. Chuck Hayes and the other linemen get out in front and do a great job for Miller. But it's a real tough thing to defend because they have screens set up on both sides of the field.
So 1st and goal. Martin. Not much running room that time as Jeremiah Toma came around to catch Doug Martin. So a 48-yard screen pass to Matt Miller has put them in position here.
Boise State and Chris Peterson firmly believe in getting touchdowns in the red zone. I mean, they've almost ignored the notion of kicking a field goal, sometimes even on 4th down.
See all the motion they go into as now Moore is out of the gun. Bunched receivers to the far side, and now Martin joins him. 2nd and goal. Looks one way, goes back the other way, and he just overthrew the intended target that was Mitch Burrows.
Yeah, Travis Brown had great coverage. Brown was underneath Burrows. There was no place for Moore to put that football.
Travis Brown, the son of the late Dan Brown, who was Pat Hill's defensive coordinator and one of the all-time good guys in the business.
You see all the guys come in and go off the field for Boise State. They constantly change their personnel packages, trying to get matchups on a key 3rd down here.
This is a spot they often look to Tyler Shoemaker. 3rd and goal. Logan Harrell was in the backfield.
Yeah, he's pointing to Chuck Hayes, number 55, the right guard.
Offside with contact. Number 77 defense. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
He's their best defensive lineman. They're all everything.
Yeah, all the pointing didn't help. Hey, Logan Harrell came across and got his right hand on the shoulder of Chuck Hayes, and then he pointed at him. And the official was like, yeah, nice try.
So that makes it 3rd and goal at the 4. Moore to the end zone. Touchdown. Late call, but Matt Miller secured it and was in. So opening drive, the surgeon cuts him up. Kellen Moore, touchdown pass, number 114 of his career.
He threw a low and away fastball that Moore was able to get down and get a hold of. And he put it in a perfect place where the defender couldn't get there.
Dan Goodell, the new kicker for Boise, a redshirt freshman, makes it 7-zip as he seems to be settling in as the starter as the year goes on, getting a little more comfortable with those kicking duties. 7-zip, Broncos on top. Kellen Moore talking things over with his teammates, up a touchdown, 63 yards passing and a touchdown on that opening drive for Kellen Moore.
Let's go back to that touchdown. Look at the screens they set up. There's one option there. There's an option there. That's Moore at the quarterback spot. Now watch what he does. He's got a choice. He can go over there or he can come back here to Moore for the double screen. Either one is available to put pressure on the defense. That's the problem with defending their screen game, and we're going to see this throughout the ball game. They will always have another alternative to the one side of the option.
That was the 48-yard screen pass to Miller, and then this is what capped it, the 4-yard touchdown pass from Kellen Moore.
Yeah, a pass that was thrown low and away, so Zach Hill couldn't get in there to defend it.
Zach Hill, the son of head coach Pat Hill for Fresno. Isaiah Burse from the end zone. And Isaiah Burse spins away from the first would-be tackler out to the 28-yard line. He's finally corralled by Hunter White.
If you're Fresno State, you cannot have a 3-and-out. If you go 3-and-out, now you start to have a crisis of confidence, and then you give the ball back to that potent offense, middle of the field, to start the game while they're rolling. So it's important for Derek Carr and company to pick up a couple of first downs here.
And their offense working well last week against Ole Miss. Came up short. Couple turnovers cost them in that 38-28 loss. Robbie Rouse on a sloppy-looking handoff and tackled by Byron Howell. Let's look at that Boise defense. And up front, they have a lot of talent, Rod.
Yeah, well, that's where it begins. We always talk about Billy Wynn and Shea McClellan, but, you know, Crawford's pretty good up front. Baker's pretty good. They bring Root in also to play. So they have a lot of bodies they can use up front. They only go with 2 linebackers most of the time. Byron Howell, really, really good. Can also play on that defensive line. Shows up there from time to time.
2nd and 9 now for Derek Carr. And he's able to get this complete to Harper. And Harper is driven back by Jamar Taylor.
Well, this brings up that 3rd down. Yeah, 3rd and short. You have to avoid a 3-and-out here because momentum would really start to tilt in the way of Boise State. Probably too far to give the ball to Rouse. And don't forget Derek Carr is pretty mobile. You can move him, you can roll him out. He throws very well on the run.
3rd and 4. And Rouse flanking Carr to his right. And now he goes in motion into the slot. Play clock winding down. Little pressure on Carr. Lofts it downfield. And it was overthrown as he was looking for Harper again. So the coverage was by Jamar Taylor on Harper, and you said, hey, they cannot afford a 3-and-out.
Well, Carr makes the right read. He gets man coverage. He's got his guy out there, Harper, working against Taylor, but Taylor does a great job. I mean, Taylor uses the sideline to run him out. Now you've got this tough spot. You're giving them the ball back. Kellen Moore's been hot. They're probably going to get it around the 30, 35-yard line. That is not a good deal for your defense right now.
Shapiro back onto punt. Mitch Burrows back at the 25 to return. And it bounces out, and then a flag does come in as it looked like he was interfered with.
Yeah, Burrows got hit, but it didn't knock his concentration. He continued to focus on the football, but the official saw it and flagged it.
By the kicking team. Number 2, 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's Davon Dunn, who was playing special teams there. So Kellen Moore will be back to action when we return to Fresno.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Russell Athletic, who remind you that together we are. And in part by Dr. Pepper. With 23 flavors, Dr. Pepper is always one of a kind.
Fresno State, the first university in the U.S. to have a winery fully licensed to produce, bottle, and sell wine. They have about 18 to 22 different varietals per harvest rod. You got the student winemakers. They market it. They sell it.
18 to 25.
And I'm willing to taste it.
I know you are. But 18 to 25?
Yeah.
That's a bit much for you, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you like to see him shrink it down a little bit? A little bit more focused?
Here's a guy who's always focused. Kellen Moore back to business. Handoff to Doug Martin, a gain of 2. So on the opening drive, he went right down the field and connected with Matt Miller. It was career touchdown pass number 114. So he's moving on up the list.
He's climbing up. He has Tim Rattay and Timmy Chang in his sights. And after those guys, pretty good group of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Detmer, Keenum, Brennan, Graham Harrell.
Case Keenum at 121 on a team with a manageable schedule in front of them and a goose egg and a lot of sizzle to what's going on down in Houston this year again with their offense. 2nd and 8. Moore. And he was looking downfield to Tyler Shoemaker, unable to connect. It'll make for a 3rd and 8.
They're the backs and receivers for Boise State. Doug Martin, obviously big-time player up front. Again, they've had some issues up front. Thomas Byrd is not in at the center spot. But Nate Potter out there at the left tackle spot. He's a prospect, NFL prospect.
3rd and 8 now. Used to seeing Thomas Byrd play center, but he's been dealing with some bum knees. And look at the Fresno front. Standing up trying to get after Kellen Moore. And it's incomplete, and they did their job.
Oh, boy. Boy, did Kyle Knox.
Pat Hill's fired up over there as Kyle Knox came in and batted that away. And the Fresno defense handing Boise a 3-and-out.
Now, see, Kyle Knox does the right thing. I mean, I think if you're playing Boise State, you should jump these short routes until they prove they can throw the ball down the field.
Elkin punting to Devin Wiley. Now look at this kick inside the 10, bobbled it for a moment. And he's taken down to the 6-yard line. Good special teams coverage by Boise as Doug Martin came down, a star running back, with the special teams tackle. Red River Rivalry. It is on noon on ABC. Oklahoma, number 3 in the country. Texas, number 11, looking to bounce back after last year. Now off to a 5-0 start.
You know, the winner of this game has been in the Big 12 championship game 5 of the last 7 seasons.
106th all-time meeting between Texas and Oklahoma. Brent Herbie and Aaron will have that noon on ABC. Robbie Rouse trying to create some space for the Bulldogs. Gain of about a 1.5 yards.
Near the 8-yard line.
Big Billy Wynn shutting things down with Mike Atkinson in the middle of that D-line.
And this is where it gets really, really difficult. You have a 2nd and long. They'll take Shea McClellan, 92. They'll take him off that defensive line. They'll move him to the outside linebacking spot. He can come off the edge. They get more pressure that way and extra coverage.
There's that loaded power backfield. Diamond backfield that they like to run out of, and they give it to Rouse again. And Rouse manages just a couple of yards this time. It'll be about a 3rd and 6 as Mike Atkinson and Aaron Tevis came in to find Rouse. See what that Boise defense has been able to do.
Yeah, 2 3-and-outs. I mean, they do that to everybody. And again, tough deal here. Young quarterback in the shadow of his own goal post has to come up with a big 3rd down, or else Boise State's going to get the ball in great field position.
Needs to find the 16-yard line, does Derek Carr. They run a stunt on him, pick it up, and close to that line to make was Devin Wiley. But they're going to mark him just a bit short as Quaylen Ewing-Burton came up with a good tackle. And Ewing-Burton is in for Jarrell Gavins, their best cornerback, who was leading the team with interceptions but is now out for the year.
Yeah, no drop off there. This is a great open field tackle. Stops Wiley short of the 1st down. Ewing-Burton is a bigger corner than Gavins. And no drop off in play right now.
So now Shapiro to punt from his 1. Mitch Burrows, return man for Boise, should be able to give them good field position here. And it's a low kick, and Burrows fields at the 45, already past midfield. And Kellen Moore will be on the plus side as we return to Fresno. Broncos up 7-0. Fresno State University. We're not far away at Bulldog Stadium from the center of campus there. As number 5 Boise State up 7-0 on the home team, the Bulldogs. Joe Tessitore and Rod Gilmore with you here. Kellen Moore is going to launch it downfield and just off the fingertips of the true freshman Dallas Burrows.
That's what we're talking about. You know, you gotta make them prove they can hit that stuff.
And Burrows can fly.
Yeah, he can, but he's not Titus Young or Austin Pettis. And that's been missing from their game. So until they prove they can hit that, I think you jump the short routes and make them prove that they can get that done.
DJ Harper now in on 2nd and 10 as the featured back. And this is Grant Hedrick. And Grant Hedrick, who will sneak into the game every so often. And they have a running package for their 3rd string quarterback that they will utilize often. And that's a good chain mover for Hedrick.
And a first down at the Bulldogs' 33-yard line.
That defense is really in a tough spot.
So now Kellen Moore back under center with a first down at the 33. Doug Martin. Oh, he could not escape Logan Harrell. Tied for 4th most nationally in tackle for loss.
You want to know who's playing defense for these guys?
I know he is.
Yeah, he's probably the best player on that defense. Logan Harrell up front.
What a stash on him, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Kidding me?
Yeah, not bad. It's a lot of penetration up front, too. Knox made a big play earlier. Travis Brown, we saw him in pass coverage in the end zone. Secondary, they'll play 3 safeties. Zach Hill, Pat Hill's son, is out there. Jones and Green are the corners. Solid over there.
Harrell was all whack last year. 2nd and 14. This is complete, and a flag does come down as he gets it to Mitch Burrows. That was Isaiah Green with the tackle on Burrows, which was back at the original line.
Defensive play made by Isaiah Green.
Illegal motion. Number 89, offense. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Well, after that really effortless looking opening drive, last 2 Boise offense have been a touch out of sync.
Well, the first down play, Harrell getting the tackle for loss really helped the defense. And then they were unaffected by all the shifting and motion that Boise State likes to do. They just sat back and said, we know it's 2nd and long. We can deal with it. This would be a really big stop for this defense right now. Keep them out of scoring range.
3rd and 10. Here's Moore, has time over the middle and has it complete again to Matt Miller. And that is a first down for the Broncos. And Matt Miller is a good-looking first-year player for Boise. He's going to be a little slow to get up here, but 17 yards on that 3rd and 10.
You just can't get to Kellen Moore. Look at all the time he has. And Miller focuses solely on the play, on the ball. Terrence Dennis with the big hit there.
And all that momentum of Miller coming across and then Dennis coming into him. That was a big hit he took.
It looks like he got him right around the ribs.
Remember, Miller had the big screen pass for 48 yards, had the touchdown on that opening drive. Already 3 catches for 69 yards and the score. And he's walking off. That was a big hit he absorbed there. Now, he's one of those guys that they look to their future in terms of replacing Titus Young and Austin Pettis. And he goes 6'3", 213, has a big frame and a good skill set.
Well, it helps when your quarterback has plenty of time to deliver the ball. That was a big 3rd down pickup.
So now first down at the 16. Doug Martin. And once again, Logan Harrell was in the backfield, ready to just wrap his arms around Martin.
He is so quick inside. He's a problem. He's a problem for Chuck Hayes. And just watch the middle of your screen to the right side, number 77, right there. Keep your eye on him. Watch how he gets inside. He just really moves quickly.
He just ran over Chuck Hayes, the starting right guard. Now, Jake Broyles is out for the year for Boise. He would normally be in that position on the offensive line. 2nd and 10. showing pressure. Let's see if they come after Kellen Moore. Here's Burrows, and Burrows with just a gain of about 2 yards as Travis Brown stayed with him.
Really good tackle. Really good tackle. No yards after the catch. Travis Brown with a good body tackle. Didn't try to arm tackle. Got all of Burrows. Again, a third down. His defense has been unable to come up with a big stop on this drive.
Coach Peterson off in the background there, looking on as his team now faces a 3rd and 8. They need to get to the 6-yard line.
Boldivine's in the ball game. Big receiver.
Does Kellen look his way? Gives a pump. Goes to the end zone. Oh, and he had him. He put it right into the numbers of Geraldo Boldivine. His first game back after the NCAA was looking into his eligibility. Reinstated to play tonight. And he dropped it.
Yeah, he got single coverage on the outside there, running away from the safety. Ball's right on the money. He's a big receiver, 6'4", 205 pounds, and Kellen Moore put it right there.
32-yard attempt by Dan Goodall now, who only has 1 attempt on the year, and it is off the post and in. I'd rather be lucky than good. And now a late flag comes in. Isaiah Green was coming after that kick. May have a running into the kicker here. It was 4th and 8. So we'll see what they choose to do based on the call.
Yeah, this could be a big one that would give them a first down, and if that's right, they'd have to decide whether they want to take points off the board.
Well, it depends on the call.
Yeah, maybe a 5-yarder. If it is, it's not an issue. If it's a 5-yarder, you keep the points.
Running into the kicker on the defense. Penalties declined. Field goal.
So Dan Goodall
Timeout.
banking it in off the post. Watch the ricochet. Here at Bulldog Stadium in Fresno, Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore. Boise adds the field goal. Number 5 up 10-zip. Building a Program is brought to you by Craftsman. A look at the 2 coaches and how they have arrived at this juncture.
Well, both guys have done it. Chris Peterson took over for Dan Hawkins, and in his 6 years has done a tremendous job. Pat Hill, 15 years at it, 11 bowl appearances, has done a fantastic job. And boy, does he really show toughness.
Here's Burse on the return from the 1. And he has nowhere to go as he is taken down at the 13-yard line. So once again, poor field position for Derek Carr. Or as Coach Hill talk about building a program, he can remember when Derek was at Fresno practices as a 7-year-old watching his older brother.
Pretty cool.
David Carr was the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Now back up for the New York Giants.
And that 2001 season, David Carr had a big year, as did Fresno State. It looked like they were going to have a BCS busting year.
Play action as a complete out to the 15-yard line to Rashad Evans. So Derek and David through the years, as we were able to get into the photo album of the family, see how much he looked up to his older brothers. A great shot of the Carr brothers when David was doing his thing and Derek was watching him go on to stardom. And Trent Dilfer, of course, Trent Dilfer had such success here at Fresno. 2 quarterbacks taken in the top 10 of the NFL draft for Fresno through the years. David Carr and Trent Dilfer. This is Wiley. And Wiley gains about 3 yards, and the ball came out. And Boise signaling that they were able to jump on it. And it is Broncos ball at the 25-yard line as Wiley coughed it up.
Yeah, it's just fighting for a couple of extra yards, and the ball came out.
Cedric Fabus was the one to recover it.
Now watch the end of the run. There's the right arm being pushed in there by Hunter White. That ball looked like it certainly came out before Wiley's knee touched the ground. So another look at it. There's the ball out. Knee down, ball out. That one's really close from that angle.
So a first down for Boise. And on the fly sweep, here comes Burrows. Picks up a block and is off to the races. Touchdown, Broncos. Good block by the tight end, Gabe Linehan. 25-yard end around for Mitch Burrows for the score.
Well, they just outflanked them. They got a lead blocker out there to take care of the containment, and that was all she wrote. Linehan, the tight end, came around and destroyed the containment, so the ball never came back inside.
And no good there, so it'll be 16-zip.
Well, you know, Tess, they do so much movement, shifting, motion, and all the time they're looking to find a way to get to the edge. You see the cross motion there. Linehan, 87, winds up in front as a lead blocker for Burrows, destroys the contain, and then there's nobody coming inside out to get to Burrows. Now you have a tight end there coming around the back of the formation to be a lead blocker and destroy the containment. That's just...
Mitch Burrows has a good speed, of course. That was set up by the fumble recovery as Wiley fumbled. And we saw Cedric Fabus jump on it quickly. And Boise didn't waste any time. And unfortunately for Pat Hill, he finds himself in a similar big hole as has been the case in recent years against this team. Remember last year's shutout as Boise put up 51 against them.
Well, part of the problem for their offense is they have not had good field position, and their special teams haven't really helped them. They need a good return.
Isaiah Burst needs to provide a spark here from the goal line. And he's taken down right around the 20. A flag did come in late there.
Holding number 41 of the receiving team during the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Can't get out of their way. Game day is down there at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Number 3 Oklahoma, number 11 Texas. ESPN's College Game Day, built by the Home Depot. You can wake up to Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard, David Pollock, and Aaron Andrews all down there to get you set for Oklahoma and Texas. And the full day of college football starts on 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPNU and then moves over to ESPN for 2 more hours at 10 a.m.
I'm just dying to see if they have any of those fried Twinkies and fried pudding on the game day set.
If it exists, it's fried there. Now, whether or not Herbie and the guys eat it, that's another story. Carr goes right back to Wiley, and this time he secures that ball at the 15, tackled by Cedric Fabus. Some of the things that they're going to be talking about tomorrow morning on Game Day. Ryan Broyles' feature. Blake Griffin's going to be the celebrity picker. And LSU's defensive back, Tyrann Mathieu, sits down with Aaron Andrews.
There's a story. There's a guy who's made a move.
There's a guy that's getting a lot of attention when it comes to the big award in Times Square come December. People are already talking about the season he's having as the best player on the best team. And now on the end around here, that is Jalen Saunders, who's been a real exciting player for this Fresno team.
Fans react to the first down.
The first down for the Bulldogs, and it comes with 7 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And that sums up this Boise State defense. You talk about that guy all you want, Kellen Moore. But truth be told, in recent years, the foundation of their success based on that defense. Pitching a shutout so far tonight. ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Russell Athletic. Joe and Rod with you here at Bulldog Stadium in Fresno, California. The number 5 team in the country is up 16-zip on the hometown Bulldogs. Fresno's ball. A first down at the 22. Derek Carr over the middle, incomplete, trying to get to Josh Harper. Let's check in with Ryan Burr. Ryan?
All right, Tess, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now. Milwaukee Brewers are on their way to the NLCS. Nyjer Morgan records his first career walk-off hit in Brewers postseason history as Milwaukee wins its first postseason series since 1982, beating the Diamondbacks 3-2. Brewers win the series. Who will they play in the NLCS? Cardinals up 1-zip on the Phils, top 5. Tess?
Thanks, Ryan. 2nd and 10 here. Rouse, and Rouse shakes free and stays on his feet and surges ahead to the 30-yard line.
He is one tough runner. I mean, he only goes about 5'7", 185, but he's a pinball inside. He's hard for linebackers to see, and then he's so strong when he's on top of you, he can give you the shoulder, lower the pads, and bounce right off of you.
I love what offensive coordinator Jeff Grady told us yesterday. Sometimes you go back and you watch film, and he actually runs in between an offensive lineman and an engaged defensive lineman.
London Bridge is falling down.
He's London Bridging it. 3rd and 2. Play action now. Pressure on Carr. He's going the wrong way and just has to get rid of it as Chase Baker was giving chase.
Now, we talked about that front, that defensive line, how good they are. As a matter of fact, Pat Hill told us he faced Nebraska, and he thought Boise State's defensive front was much better. I think Wisconsin would agree with that.
And this team put up 29 points against Nebraska. Shapiro back onto punt yet again, and Burrows, who had scored that touchdown on the end around, set to return from the 30. It's a good high kick by Shapiro. And the fair catch by Burrows at the 21. Kellen Moore came right down the field on the opening drive and found Matt Miller. Also had a screen pass to Matt Miller.
Well, they also had a touchdown pass dropped by Boldevine in his return. Kellen Moore put the ball right on the money in the corner of the end zone, or else they would have had a touchdown instead of settling for a field goal, and they also had a missed PAT in that first quarter.
Pat Hill has such respect for what Boise does schematically, and getting a good example of utilizing all the weapons here tonight. Doug Martin now. Look at the blocks out in front for Doug Martin as he picks up 8 yards. And Martin just had clear sailing downfield.
It helps when you have an escort. They pulled one of their linemen, Corey Iriarte, came from left to right to escort Martin. They're always moving their guards in their center.
Quickly get it out to DJ Harper, and Harper has the first down as they didn't waste any time.
Look at this formation. I mean, they just get you going. That last play, look at the top of the screen. You got linemen out there with a tight end and a running back.
They'll show you everything. As long as 7 are on the line of scrimmage, they're good to go, somehow, some way.
But see, that's what they do. All this stuff to make you think about where you should be and what your assignment is, and it stops you from playing and playing fast.
And now Moore. Look at the time he has. Oh, and a good-looking catch by Matt Miller. A flag came down in the backfield. What an effort by Matt Miller.
Yeah, I want to tell you, there were 2 great efforts on that play. Miller's one-handed catch, clearly, but Kellen Moore stepping up and away from pressure, buying time, was also a great play.
Holding, number 88, offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So it's going to come back. He stepped up, he found Miller, and Miller put on a one-handed display.
Yeah, this is going to come back, but watch the pocket presence. Moore here feels it, sees it, gets away from it, just a little bit of a shuffle away from the pressure, and then Moore with the one-handed catch on the other end, but all for naught because of the holding call.
And Grant Hedrick comes in at quarterback here as they're backed up to a 1st and 20. So this is their option package with Hedrick. And he is chased down at the 30-yard line by L.J. Jones. They are not bashful about putting Hedrick in certain spots.
And I don't know why folks just don't play the zone read when he comes in. I mean, all the tape I've seen, I haven't seen him throw it out of that yet.
You know, he's the option threat.
2nd and 17.
So Kellen comes back in on 2nd and 16. And that is off the hands that time of Kyle Efaw.
They just kicked that one away, huh?
Efaw, the senior tight end, who 2 years ago had that big play in the Fiesta Bowl when he caught the 4th down reception on the fake punt against TCU.
And he's got really good hands. NFL scouts like that about him. May not be the most physical blocker up front, but really good hands. And now you got a 3rd and forever, and this gets the Fresno State fans excited.
3rd and 16.
And they picked up a 3rd and 12 earlier.
And a 1st down to Burrows to the 40 of Fresno.
All day, Kellen Moore had forever in the pocket. Watch the time he has. 3-man rush. They drop 8. No worries. And see, I think you really have to jump the short and intermediate routes, and you got to bring 4 guys. He is such a good quarterback, and he sees the field so well. He's not going to be flustered by having 8 guys in coverage.
Flustered is the last thing we've ever seen him be. 29 yards on 3rd and 16. Easy as that. 1st down at the 40. Screen game. This is Dallas Burrows, the younger brother, and a quick burst by Dallas Burrows, finally pushed out by L.J. Jones. And that is marked out at the 29-yard line, so they move the chains.
Just think about how they planned that. A 3-man rush 2 plays ago. They figure, aha, they're going to be frustrated. We're probably going to get pressure. They come back with a screen right away, and they take advantage of it, pick up another 1st down. They are a step ahead right now at Boise State.
Now here's Martin. And Martin accelerates inside the 25, stretching out before he's tackled by L.J. Jones.
You know, last year when they had Titus Young and Austin Pettis, they were a very explosive team.
They were vertical last year.
Yep.
They're much different this year.
Yeah.
They're still dangerous. They're just different.
They just cut you up. 1,000 cuts is what you get against with this team. I mean, Kellen Moore left, right, Martin inside, and before you know it, you're down by double digits.
There's Aaron Burks into the game, as is Kirby Moore, Kellen's brother, and here is the younger brother. And Kirby has a 1st down inside the 20 as he's able to get it to the 18 before he was tackled by Patrick.
Pressure, saw Knox coming inside and just adjusted to his hot read, which was a quick screen outside.
18.
You have no choice if you're Fresno State. You have to go after him. You have to play man coverage. You let him sit back there, he's just going to pick you apart.
1st down now. Looking to the near side. Buldivine, how about that? Touchdown, Kellen Moore. As Buldivine gets his first of the year after dropping a would-have-been touchdown earlier.
Buldivine did a really nice job beating the man coverage, getting to the outside, and giving Kellen Moore a place where he could drop the ball in.
Goodale has missed 3 extra points on the year, and this one he puts right down the middle after missing the previous attempt. Geraldo Buldivine. This is a guy that they think could be a good weapon for the remainder of the season. Let's take you back to 2001 between these schools. David Carr was the quarterback back then, finding Bernard Berrien, 2 guys that went on to have very good NFL careers. But Boise would take the lead 35-28. Final moments, David Carr sacked on 4th down from the 5-yard line. And a lot of people in this area point back to that game as what they called in the local paper today the power shift, the turning point between these schools, saying Boise from that point forward has gone on to be 1-14-13, and Pat Hill's team always competitive, always producing NFL prospects and taking on every challenger with a tough schedule. But obviously, they've taken a back seat to the Broncos over the course of the past decade. In the WAC, now they meet as non-conference opponents before next year going back to being conference opponents in the Mountain West.
And David Carr says that he still thinks about that loss every day. They were having a fantastic season, wins over Colorado, Oregon State, and Wisconsin, and they were the darlings of college football until Boise State wiped them out.
They were Boise State before Boise was Fresno as the BCS Busters. Here's Burse, and he's out to the 23-yard line. Boise State hasn't allowed a touchdown in the second quarter this season. Fresno needs to change that right now.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Chrysler, imported from Detroit, and the Capital One Mascot Challenge. Vote for your favorite mascot at CapitalOneBowl.com.
That is the Big Fresno Fair. It's founded in 1884. It's going on this week. They got a little bit of everything there, including...
No way.
Oh, you can bet on the ponies there, Rod. They got horse racing at the Big Fresno Fair, so I should have taken a trip out there.
Yeah, well,
not quite the Breeders' Cup coming up on November 4th and 5th, but good-looking colts running there.
Well, no one's pushing me off anything with the rope tied to my leg.
No, that's for sure.
Nope, not going to happen.
I think Fresno's offense feels like they've been on a bungee jump facing this defense. 23-zip. Robbie Rouse doesn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Let's check in with Ryan.
All right, Tess, just a reminder, there is some professional basketball being played in this country. WNBA Finals, Minnesota and Atlanta. Minnesota leads the series 2-zip. It's a best of 5, so they are a minute 51 away from winning the WNBA title. Once again, that's over on ESPN2.
Okay, Ryan. Rouse stays in the backfield on 2nd and 11. There's some pressure off the edge, and he only gains about 2.5 yards as Mike Atkinson made the tackle. 313-pound nose tackle is Atkinson, who sometimes plays in the offensive backfield.
Yeah, well, they've all been in the backfield most of the season. 67% of the time, opponents have not crossed the 50-yard line, which is second in the FBS behind, of course, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama playing Vandy tomorrow on ESPNU at 7 o'clock. One of the most loaded defenses we have seen in recent years.
Hey, don't sleep on Vandy's defense.
Batted down at the line of scrimmage that time by Aaron Tevis. This defense is absolutely primed right now.
Yeah, they are absolutely taking out everything. The key, first and second down. They're not giving up anything when Fresno State runs. And now they've got 5-6 guys coming. And then you actually have Tevis just hovering around the line of scrimmage, getting his big paw up there as Carr tried to get the ball out to Evans.
So Shapiro to punt to Burrows yet again. Oh, and they blocked it. And it goes out of bounds. That was Hunter White who came in and just rejected Shapiro's effort. And it's been Fresno who has been the best kick blocking team in the country in recent years, but Boise gets the best of them here.
Well, take a look here. Here's Hunter White. He's showing you that he's coming. They don't pick him up. Hout takes out the guy on the left, and Hunter White just lays out.
Now, what's so impressive about that is our special teams guru, Mike Black, who's here in the booth with us, times every punt. They got that off in 1.96 seconds.
That stellar performance by Hunter White to get in and block that.
DJ Harper is wrapped up at the 21. I mean, 1.96, you should be able to get that punt off, but Hunter White just got after it.
Well, that was big time. And now, defensively, and this is really tough. I mean, your offense isn't getting anything going. You've got a sudden change again where you're back out on the field. This is tough for Fresno State. You have to fight against emotionally giving in.
Hedrick back in at quarterback now. Hedrick to pass. And he almost connected with Gabe Linehan for a score. Well, there's your pass attempt, Rob.
As if they heard me.
Terrence Dennis had coverage on Linehan, the sophomore tight end. But here is what they think the future at quarterback of Boise looks like.
Yeah, and Linehan was wide open, but he had to turn around and try and get that. Got his hands on it. Usually would come up with that. And now a chance for Fresno State to get a hold. They have not been good on third down against Boise State's offense.
37. Kellen Moore back in. They need to get to the 14. And a first down to the 13 to Shoemaker.
Wow. Pressure was on, and Kellen Moore just didn't panic.
Well, and that's the guy he looks to when he needs the critical conversion.
Yeah, but he came off looking to his left.
He did.
And then looked back to the middle, then went to the right, all while being pressured.
So a first down at the 13. Harper the lone back. And Harper gets the call. And he scoots out as Travis Brown was surging after him there. No gain by Harper that time. So the 2nd and 10. They can get a first down inside the 5 down at the 3.
Well, you see some of the guys for Fresno State, hands on hip. I don't think they're physically tired. I think they're emotionally drained.
That's what Pat Hill talked about. He said they make it such a mental game.
Yeah.
With all the motion and formations and personnel groups. We'll show you a little bit of everything. See what we get on 2nd and 10. Pressure off the edge. Moore steps up and he threw it low. And a flag does come in. Shoemaker was making a move inside the 5. And that's right where they threw the flag.
Holding, number 53 defense. The hold was on an eligible receiver and the pass did cross the neutral zone. After this to the goal, automatic, first down.
That's on Knox. And Tess, just think about how tough this is when you can't get to the quarterback. You're getting penalties to bail them out. and you can't keep him out of the end zone. This is really wearing on Fresno State.
Harper. Boy, it looks easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's tough emotionally. They're burned. That's Joe Kellogg on the right side, the left guard, giving a great block to free DJ Harper.
And you saw Hunter White coming out onto the field there as the holder. Now, he set up that short field as he had blocked the punt and put the Broncos in position for that score. And Goodell tacks on the extra point. 6:29 to go until half, and Boise is up 30-zip. Beautiful effort stretching out for the block punt, and then the senior Harper brings it home.
Jeep is proud sponsor of the ESPN Jeep Ultimate Tailgate Experience, touring college campuses around the country. Log on to ESPN.com, search Jeep to learn more.
Next stop on the ESPN Jeep Ultimate Tailgate Experience is tomorrow. Central Michigan taking on NC State down there in Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. That is your next stop on the ESPN Jeep Ultimate Tailgate Experience. 30-zip Broncos, led by a well-rounded effort. This isn't just Kellen Moore all night long. This is a tremendous defensive effort, special teams with the block punt, and then the running game scoring as well moments ago. Here is Isaiah Burse. And Burse fighting his way to the 23. Now, while we were away after Boise's most recent score, head coach Pat Hill gathered up the Bulldogs. Not a player was over on the bench. And you know this is a teaching experience, time to gather the troops and send a message regardless of what the scoreboard says.
Well, I think he saw what I saw. It's not that his team was tired, that they were mentally and emotionally giving in. And he wants them to be tough and to fight back. And they weren't fighting out there.
Carr, pressured, launches it, and running under it was Jalen Saunders, but he couldn't hold on. Jalen Saunders, who's been such a spark plug for this offense, and he's second in the nation in yards per catch, almost had a big one there.
Well, he's their fastest guy. We talked about him, got his hands on that. He's had 3 straight games with 100 yards receiving and almost came up with a big one there. I mean, that would have been a big spark for Fresno State. They've had nothing go right tonight.
It's the first time they've called his number, given him a chance. That was high, intended for Josh Harper. Well, what a tough night for Derek Carr and this Fresno offense.
Yeah, this is the tough one. 4, 3 and outs. I mean, that puts your defense back out there in a hurry. There's no rhythm to the offense. It just allows everything to snowball when you don't get first downs.
Scored 28 last week against Ole Miss, scored 29 points at Nebraska. But this Boise defense, when they are on their game and they are getting after it, watch out. 3rd and 10. Carr over the middle, incomplete, as he tried to connect with Burse. Yep, it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, they feel it. You know, Fresno State's going to have to try something, switch it up. Maybe you go no huddle or something to keep Boise State from getting in and out of their changes on defense. They bring in their 6 defensive back package. They bring in their 5 defensive lineman package. But they've got to find a way to change the rhythm when they have the ball.
Remember what happened the last time Shapiro was out there punting. 2 blocks on the season now. Mitch Burrows from just inside the 30. And here goes Burrows. And he crosses midfield as Boise will have good field position again. And the flag did come down at the end there. And that was Shapiro getting downfield. A bit frustrated.
Personal foul, face mask by the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's clearly right hand on there, never let go. And that's adding 15 yards on to what was already a good return. And we've seen lots of helmets come off this season.
Remember, that Boise defense hasn't allowed a touchdown in the second quarter all season, and time again they are giving Kellen Moore in this offense great field position. And now they will start after the penalty at the 32. It's Harper in motion, and now he joins Moore in the backfield. They bring pressure. It's picked up, and Moore has it complete to Matt Miller. So 4 games Saturday night on the ESPN family of networks. 3 games start at 7 Eastern. You got Auburn, Arkansas. That should be a good one. Georgia, Tennessee on ESPN2. ESPNU has the #2 team in the country, Alabama against Vandy. Then 8 o'clock on ABC, Ohio State against Nebraska.
I'm interested to see Trent Richardson against what is a good, solid Vanderbilt defense.
That snap, and Kellen just takes a knee. Well, Trent Richardson last week with his efforts against Florida. That got a lot of people's attention going on the road there, getting over 180 yards, and he is just such a workhorse.
Well, truth be known, and we talked about this all off season, Andrew Luck, Kellen Moore, Trent Richardson, you know, they were locks to be in the Heisman race for most of the season. So whether they jumped in week 1 or week 2 really doesn't matter. They're going to be in for the long haul.
It's the guys like Robert Griffin III and Russell Wilson
Robinson
and Denard who have grabbed a lot of attention because of what they've done the past month. Here's a 3rd and 10 now. And they set up the screen to Harper. And Harper is taken down at about the 31. Another helmet comes off for you, Rod.
I lost count a long time ago.
That's Nate Potter, who is projected to be a high NFL draft pick. They're starting left tackle.
You know, my helmet never came off.
Never came off?
No.
They squeezed him on back then.
Maybe it's the big head.
So a 4th down here.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the place kicking circumstances for Boise.
Issues.
Big issues, so they stay on the field for 4th and 9. Kellen downfield and incomplete. He was looking for Aaron Burks, so a turnover on downs as Fresno's offense will take over.
To stop, and some good stuff finally for Fresno State. And if you're Pat Hill, you're happy with the fact that you saw some life out of your defense.
Allstate is celebrating its 7th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. And today at Allstate has contributed more than $2.4 million in those scholarship monies. And with Boise on the field, Allstate's doing very well donating to those scholarship funds. 30 to zip. Derek Carr sprinting to the near side, looking for anything, and he gets pushed out at the 34. Here's Ryan Burr.
All right, Tess, coming up on the Dell Halftime Report, I'll be joined by Mark May and Lou Holtz. Guys, play a little game of Take Your Pick. Coach Holtz tells us which top 20 team has one of the worst defenses in America. Game day is in Dallas for Oklahoma and Texas. We'll get a preview and get you caught up to date on all the baseball as we're almost complete with the NLCS. Guys, we'll see you at the half.
Ryan, from talk of one of the worst defenses in America to one of the very best with what Boise is showing us tonight, continues to show us as they have in recent years. A 2nd and 6 for Fresno as they look to have their deepest penetration of the night. And Josh Harper has it. It'll be short of first down. Prior to that play, the furthest that Fresno had gone down the field was their own 35. Think about that for a moment.
Well,
3 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah, well, and they had a good plan coming into the ballgame. And what did we say about a good plan? You know, everybody has one until you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, and they're pretty good at punching an offense in the mouth, aren't they?
8 possessions, and they've yet to cross midfield.
3rd and 3. Rouse. Robbie Rouse crosses midfield and is inside the 25. Great move by Robbie Rouse.
And we talked about his ability to change direction, to put his foot in the ground and go the other way. It's just a one-step shake right there. Foot in the ground and comes back the other way. And since Pat Hill gathered his troops, they've played with more energy, more resolve. And that move on Fabus gave them their biggest play of the game.
40-yard gain. A first down just outside the 22-yard line. Here's Carr now. Going to take a shot downfield. And he overthrows the intended target, Rashad Evans, and Jamar Taylor was running stride for stride with Evans.
Ate him up. Jamar Taylor ate him up.
He's a well-experienced cornerback for Boise. Very confident guy.
Yeah, you just watch the way he uses the sideline to his benefit. Gets a good jab with the hand. Now he's got the sideline there, head around looking for the ball. That is great, great man cover out there.
See how Carr has struggled here in this second quarter. Remember, Boise has not given up a second quarter touchdown this season. 2nd and 10. Pumps. Loses the ball. The ball came out, and Boise recovers. So after the 40-yard run by Robbie Rouse, and just when Fresno had a glimmer of something positive and a bit of hope offensively, Carr fumbles. Well, Jarrell recovers for Boise.
Well, Carr was frustrated. He wanted his receiver to look for the quick pass there, but he wasn't looking, and he was forced to pull the ball down. Now, Carr's got to learn, though. Things are going to go bad. You got to hang on to the ball, but you also can't react and show up your receivers on the field after the play. You got to have a little bit more composure because you're going to need them, not just this game, but the rest of the season.
Meanwhile, back to work for Kellen Moore and a 9-yard gain to Gabe Linehan. Let's go back. Now let's see what this flag is all about at the end of that play.
After the play, late hit, number 20, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And it's Kristen Wilson, the free safety. Let's go back to that fumble, Rod.
Yeah, I want you to watch what happens after the fumble. Now watch when Derek Carr gets up. I mean, his first reaction is to look at his receiver. What were you doing? You were supposed to come in. You didn't come in. Now, you don't need that on the field.
And here's Martin, delayed handoff. And Martin gets it to the 43. Was tackled by Ofe Fafita.
He's a young quarterback, and he'll learn the place to talk to his receiver is on the sideline, not on the field.
2nd and 7. Quick snap by Kellen. They set up the screen to Martin. And Martin tries to cut back against the grain, but big Logan Harrell was waiting on him. And Boise is going to use a timeout with a minute 11 to go.
A pretty frustrating evening. They've had their trouble just trying to string together first downs, and they were awfully excited, you know, about this, and you know they're also excited about getting to the new conference, Mountain West, next year for Fresno State, but they wanted to win the WAC going out, and this is a reminder of an old WAC rivalry, and it's a tough one for them.
Right, obviously that conference slate is still ahead of them, as will be the Mountain West for Boise as they venture down that road. One of the things when we talk about what's ahead for both teams is everybody all year long said, all right, they got the Georgia game early, and then they'll have a decently ranked TCU team. Well, right. TCU stubbed their toe the other day against SMU, so that resume and that schedule is not going to be quite as glossy. And they need nights like this to really impress on the scoreboard.
I think you're right. I think you're right. You look at the schedule, it's tough.
3rd and 4 now. Martin, and he cuts back and spins for a first down before he was hit by Patrick Sewell. So let's look at that Boise schedule. And as they are quick to line up, we'll just hold off for a moment. Snapping the ball with 28 on the play clock as the clock is under a minute, and there is Linehan. And just like that, this is how Kellen Moore makes you pay. You turn it over on one end, it's like a fast break. That's what he does. All of a sudden, he brings his offense right down the field going the other way. 28-yard reception to Linehan.
And he's got forever with 55 seconds.
They bring pressure this time. Over the middle. Oh, and he overthrew Tyler Shoemaker.
Yeah, that's one of the few times that pressure has affected Kellen Moore. Travis Brown was coming, and Kellen Moore shied away from the hit and therefore overthrew the football. Stops the clock. They've got plenty of time. They've got their timeouts, a couple of them left. Remember, they've used Boldevine, who's returned to action as their big receiver down here. He's not on the field right now.
6'4" is Boldevine. We don't see him here, though. Instead, they go to Martin out of the backfield. Stiff arm inside the 20 and ridden down to the 15-yard line, where the clock will continue to count down. And then they do use the timeout. So it'll make for a 3rd and 4. Anyways, we were talking about the immediate future of Boise in that schedule. And that TCU game, Rod, that was supposed to set up as one more opportunity to really impress against a ranked team.
Well, see, I think this schedule is okay for keeping Boise State in the BCS hunt should they go undefeated. But I don't think it's good enough for them to get to a national championship game because they don't have the marquee win. They got to keep hoping that Georgia has a chance to keep winning. That will help them, but they just don't have that other big team. TCU losing twice really hurt Boise State.
It did. And of course you have LSU and Alabama meeting up on November 5th. You're going to have Oklahoma State and Oklahoma meeting up. You're going to have Wisconsin potentially going through the Big Ten unscathed. You're going to have Stanford with that showdown against Oregon and a Pac-12 championship. There are going to be a lot of teams with nice resumes come the end of the year here. 3rd and 4 now. First down inside the 10. A flag came down. If the play stands, it'll be 1st and goal, as Linehan had the reception there to pick up the first down.
Did you see that? Another helmet. Another helmet off.
Well, what's the solution? Should we put Velcro on the top of their head, Rod? Should we super glue their scalps?
Offside, number 88 defense. Penalties declined. First down.
Terrence Dennis was ripping away at it. A strong safety.
I don't think super glue would help right here. Hey, look at this. Look at the way he just rips this one off. Give me that helmet. Super glue would just take some hair with it.
Well, Geraldo Boldevine, who you mentioned as a new weapon, the 6'4" target who was reinstated, is in here on 1st and goal. And now he has another touchdown. That looked like nothing but an easy day in practice for Kellen.
No, it's even easier than that. It's 7 on 7. You got a 6'4" receiver who's already caught one in the corner. You're afraid of him getting quickly to the outside. He gives you a jab step, and now you let him inside. I mean, that's easy. That's why you never let the receiver inside, because that's an easy throw for the quarterback. Well,
the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues at Kansas, and coverage will begin Sunday on ESPN at 1 Eastern. Telecast is presented by Dodge. What were you telling me the other day? We're sitting there the other day having lunch, and we're talking college football, and you said, you know, enough about that. Have you heard with what's going on with Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson is back in the hunt now, and I just think that whole rivalry, Kurt Busch is JJ's arch enemy.
JJ.
You know, yeah, well, you know, he's a 5-time champion, right, Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah.
Well, Kurt Busch calls him a 5-time chump.
With the U, not
With the U.
A.
Yeah.
He took out the A, he put in the U.
Yeah, not a 5-time champ, a 5-time chump.
Now you got me ready here for
you got to get
our Sprint Cup.
You got to get going.
Well, this guy needs his engine revved. I don't know what the answer is against this Boise defense, but something's got to get going for Derek Carr in this Fresno offense just to save a little face, take a little pride, and feel good at some point with something tonight. And they're just going to squib this here with under 20 seconds to go. And the up man that time was Rashad Evans. So, welcome to the season, Geraldo Boldevine. Reinstated after his eligibility was in question. That would have been a touchdown, but then he did come back with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, nice catch along the sideline against man coverage, and then comes back, nice slant route, beating man coverage again. 2 for 3 on would-be touchdown catches, taking a couple of them, and you see the 3 Dutch players who have had their issues. They were not eligible the first few games, and they've come back one at a time.
And they're still waiting to hear the eligibility of Ricky Chongacho, the 300-pound sophomore defensive tackle. As the closing moments here of this first half, they were able to get it complete that time to Rashad Evans, who leads Fresno in receptions.
You know, the way Fresno State is ending the half with the hurry up, I'd like to see them start the second half with a hurry up. Something with energy like this.
Cross midfield just that one time and then fumbled it away. And Evans, once again, that leaves 9 ticks on the clock. Kevin Gessling, by the way, their kicker, if they just want to have to try something here, if they can get it in range. He does have a big leg. He's got a long of 58 yards.
Well, Carr has a strong arm, too. You know, you can take a shot with him, although they're playing 15, 20 yards deep. Not a lot to lose.
Set up the screen here to Harper, and he's pushed out, leaving 3 seconds to go, just short of midfield.
Well, the fans aren't going to like it if they don't air it out here. So, if for nothing else, keep your fans involved and take a good shot here. Let them fire it down the field.
Let's see how Derek's arm compares to Big Brother here if he launches this. Nope, just going to go to the sideline. And Josh Harper brings it back towards the middle of the field, then cuts back, and Harper all the way inside the 20, finally down to the 10-yard line. But the story of this first half was just domination in every facet of the game by Kellen Moore and company. Kellen with 243 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half alone. And the defense still hasn't allowed a touchdown in the second quarter this season. They were dominant. Now let's join Ryan Burr back in the studio for the Dell halftime report. Why does it seem that Kellen Moore has had a career of Friday nights? The 10th time that he has played on the Friday night primetime game. And every time he stars. This is ESPN's College Football Primetime presented by Russell Athletic. 37-0. The number 5 team in the country on top of Fresno. And Rod, you know, you just got to gauge them somehow. And when I look at this Boise team, I see a very well-rounded team, worthy of their ranking. And I often look at their defense as to the reason why I say that, why I feel like they're a top 5 team.
You're right. And it really starts with their defensive line. I mean, when you think about the way they can dominate a game, it means everything to their defense. How about the way they started here right off the bat? You see Chase Baker forcing Carr into a bad situation. Jarrell Root, another defensive lineman, making a play for them. And then, oh, let's not forget about Billy Wynn, causing this fumble by Carr late in the second half. But then the offense is always where it's supposed to be. Kellen Moore bouncing back from that tough game last week, finding Moore for a touchdown. And then in his return to the offense, Terrell Baldivine caught 2 touchdown passes in the first half, but a great first half for Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore in the first half throwing for 3 touchdown passes, closing in on history as he moves up that mark on the all-time list of career touchdown passes, as he also tries to close in on becoming the all-time winningest quarterback in the history of college football.
Well, I can tell you this, Boise State is not going to slow down. They're going to start the second half just like they started the game, and Fresno State has to try and match their intensity, and Pat Hill is going to demand that. Score doesn't matter as far as Pat Hill's concerned. It's effort and intensity.
Unique formation for this second half kickoff for Fresno. Here's Doug Martin from the 5. He is met well right at the 25-yard line. That was good special teams by Patrick Sua. So the history that Kellen Moore is going after, currently 3 more touchdown passes, has him at 116. Timmy Chang is going to be tied the next time Moore throws one across that goal line. And then a list above him, guys like Ty Detmer and another active guy in Case Keenum at Houston.
Yeah, he might get everybody on that list except for Case Keenum.
Keenum's just going to keep on going with that Conference USA schedule ahead of him, and Houston's offense rolling along. Doug Martin, and Martin gets it out to the 33-yard line. It'll be a 2nd and 2 from there.
If it's one thing Boise State didn't do great in the first half, it was run the football. They only had 62 yards rushing in the first half. Martin averaged just over a couple of yards a carry. I'm sure that's one of the things that they want to work on a bit in the second half, but they probably won't back off of throwing it a bit either.
Their best running play in the first half was Mitch Burrows on the end around.
Yeah, exactly. Now you see the shift and the motion, changing responsibilities on defense.
Both tight ends moving that time. Doug Martin unable to escape, as that was good pursuit by Okpalago. Tristan Okpalago, who's a long and lanky upfield rusher, but he was able to track down Martin that time.
We talked about a bounce back. Kellen Moore said earlier in the week he'd bounce back from last week, and sure he did. He said just minor issues last week, and he certainly has made them look minor.
3rd and 2. Here's the screen, Miller, and Miller cannot get back to the original line of scrimmage as Isaiah Green would not let go of him. You know, and I give the Fresno fans credit here. Down 37-zip, and they were rallying and getting loud with support on that 3rd down right there.
They're trying to give their team a bit of energy. You know, they had a nice crowd here last week for Ole Miss, a game that was deep into the 4th quarter before Ole Miss won that ball game.
That was a 38-28 victory by Ole Miss here. And now the rugby-style punt by Elkin, as Wiley fields it inside the 20 and then cuts back upfield to the 25. So as for what Fresno State's offense has done tonight, it's not pretty.
Not a lot. Not a lot. And again, it's the 3 and outs that's the big problem. A couple of fumbles are not good, but when you can't stay on the field, Not only keep yourself from scoring points, but you make it tough on your defense.
Robbie Rouse had that one big run, but then they fumbled when they were deep in Boise territory. Carr, pressure up the middle, and Carr just skims it out of bounds as Shane McClellan, the defensive end for Boise, was getting after Derek Carr.
Yeah, Evans was out there, and Carr expected him to stay where he was, but at the last second, Evans moved inside away from where Carr was throwing it. They've had a couple of those issues tonight, and they look a little frustrated with those miscommunications.
Big Billy Wynn, intimidating presence in the middle of that defensive line. 2nd and 10. Robbie Rouse. And Robbie Rouse squeezes through before he was taken down, a 7-yard gain. So Derek Carr is seeing a lot of Boise in the offensive backfield, but he sees a lot of Boise all the time because in his dorm, or excuse me, in his apartment is a Boise State flag that his big brother David bought him and said, hey, you're not allowed to take that down until you beat the Broncos on the field.
That's because David didn't beat them, and he was so bothered by that 2001 loss. I mean, he pushed that onto his brother to get it done. And right now, it's not looking like it's going to happen tonight.
3rd and 3 now for Derek. And Burse is going to be unable to spin free of Cedric Favis. So they will be just about a 1.5 yards short. And that'll send on the punt team.
Yeah, this offense has had trouble breaking a sweat. I mean, it's been 1, 2, 3, kick. 1, 2, 3, kick.
Shapiro did have a punt blocked earlier. And it takes a good Fresno bounce this time as it settles in at about the 22. So Kellen Moore and the Broncos offense back up when we return. Chris Peterson's 5th-ranked team up 37-0 on the road here at Fresno. 4 games on Saturday night on the ESPN family of networks. We've got Auburn and Arkansas, number 15 versus number 10. ESPN2 has Georgia and Tennessee. The U's got Vanderbilt and number 2 Alabama. And on ABC at 8 o'clock, Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Janine Edwards with Ohio State at number 14, Nebraska. That Ohio State offense, Rob.
Oh, my goodness.
Are they struggling or what? Kellen Moore on 1st down, has it complete to Aaron Burks. Ohio State's offense, Rod, 111th in the country in passing yards.
In a word, awful.
Truly.
Yeah, really. And keep this in mind. The loser of that game, forget about the Big Ten race. That'll be your 2nd conference loss, and you're not even into mid-October. And the way Wisconsin is playing.
Could we be looking at a Wisconsin-Michigan Big Ten title game down the road?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Michigan plays Northwestern. That's tomorrow. Here's Doug Martin now on the 1st down run.
Don't count out Michigan State yet either. But, you know, I'm curious about Wisconsin. You know, back when Russell Wilson moved on to Wisconsin back in the spring.
Yes.
You know, we said national championship contender.
Oh, he's just fit and plug and move on.
But Brent Bielema said, oh, no. I disagree with you guys. We're not that kind of program. Well, nice to see that they finally embrace that they're in the hunt.
DJ Harper on the direct snap now, and he hands off to Doug Martin. Then Martin has another Boise State 1st down. Well, Wisconsin, you know, coming off the game against Nebraska, everybody vaulted them up in the rankings. A Nebraska team that this Fresno team played on the road and scored 29 points against. And here you have Boise shutting out that same team. Here's Wisconsin's schedule.
Yeah, and, you know, Michigan State's a big game, a tough game. Ohio State is not what Ohio State used to be. And then you look down the road, you go, well, Illinois. Illinois is undefeated right now. That could be a tough one. We don't know how good Illinois is, but that's possible.
Martin on first down. He breaks out of that mix, and here goes Doug Martin. And there goes Doug Martin. And Martin is all the way down to the 1-yard line. Looked like he was bottled up, and then he just went out the side door. A 55-yard run for the senior running back from Stockton, California.
He is a talented football player. This guy gets so many yards after the catch. He's got good, solid speed. NFL scouts love the fact that he runs hard, he catches the football. You know, he's projected as a second, third-round pick.
That initial contact didn't get in the way of him as he gets it to a 1st and goal down at the 1. See if he can cap it. And he does so. Not much for Pat Hill to say, is there?
Well, when you have Joe Kellogg, a guard who weighs 290 pounds and leading the way for you, gets John. You see 61 pull from the left to the right. Hardly anybody in his path that he has to clear out for Martin.
Oh, this is becoming just an ugly situation with the kicking game of Boise. Dan Goodall has had his struggles. That is now 4 missed extra points on the year for the redshirt freshman.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Toyota and Scott Trade. Get invested.
Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore here in Fresno, where the number 5 team in the country is just putting on a display. 43 zip with still 8:59 to go in the 3rd. They thumped them a year ago, 51 zip. They put up 51 on them in 09. They put up 61 on them in 08.
And all those times they've jumped on them in a hurry, like tonight.
Here's Burst from the 6. Flag is down at the 15 as Burst is down at about the 34. It's Trevor Harmon, the kicker, who made the tackle. Flag is also down at the end of that play.
Block in the back. Number 30 of the receiving team. That penalty is declined. Holding. Number 10 of the receiving team. That penalty is accepted. Passes this to the goal. First down.
As if one wasn't enough, Rod.
Yeah, well, and if it weren't bad enough, the starting field position for this offense just got a lot worse.
It's been that way all night. Look at the last 2 meetings
Yikes.
between these 2 teams.
Yikes. Yeah.
And there's a lot of football to be played tonight.
Ooh, that's ugly. That is ugly. You know, which is why Pat Hill is selling his guys this second half on competing and not worrying about the scoreboard.
There's the fly sweep with Saunders. And Saunders loses a yard. Let's check in with Ryan Burr. What's up, Ryan?
Yeah, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now. It will be an all NL Central in the NLCS. That's because Chris Carpenter has a complete game shutout in Game 5 against the Phillies. St. Louis wins 1-zip. Earlier today, the Lynx beat the Dream 73-67 to win the WNBA championship, Minnesota's first championship in professional basketball in quite some time.
Thanks, Ryan. 2nd and 11 after that loss of a yard on a fly sweep. Robbie Rouse And Rouse was met that time by Jonathan Brown and Ewing Burton. You know, speaking of the baseball postseason, Doug Fister, the pitcher for the Tigers last night, who only gave up 1 run in 5 innings for the Yankees, right here in Fresno.
That's right.
Yep.
You know, they've got a good baseball program.
Won the College World Series a couple years back.
Yeah.
So Milwaukee and St. Louis.
And everyone thought preseason San Francisco Giants, Philadelphia Phillies.
See the baseball cap on Kellen Moore, so maybe they're going to shut him down for the night. Carr on 3rd and 5.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Jamar Taylor.
Wow. That is impressive.
Big time.
Wow. That's a corner who read everything correctly and jumped this route. He sees the 3-step, he stops his back pedal, drives in, and then jumps over the receiver. That is, you cannot do it any better.
He goes airborne over the top, jumping that route to make the pick.
Well, he read Carr's 3-step, and as soon as Carr stopped his back foot on that 3rd step, Taylor came flying up.
And now Joe Southwick at quarterback, and Doug Martin spins out before he is wrapped up by Logan Harrell. So Joe Southwick, who's a sophomore from right here in California, he's really matured in the course of the past year. They feel like he took the next step to be Kellen Moore's backup with confidence. They also have Grant Hedrick, who now comes into the game. Hedrick we've seen before. He's the first-year player, the redshirt freshman from Oregon, who's got that run package, that option attack that they like to utilize. Here he keeps it with DJ Harper. And Harper is taken down at the 15 by Logan Harrell.
Southwick is the more complete quarterback. Was an excellent high school quarterback. Danville, up in the Bay Area, the East Bay. Highly thought of high school recruit. Got away from California's backyard.
You're seeing more and more of that with this Boise program of players from California choosing Boise over some Pac-12 opportunities. And Southwick here on 3rd and 9. And he gets it complete. It's going to be 2 yards short of the first down to Mitch Burrows as L.G. Jones forced him out.
Well, this will be an interesting decision for Chris Peterson. The kicking game has been woeful, and they have a chance to try and pick it up on 4th down here. I don't think he's going to give his kickers any more practice. I think he's seen enough.
I've definitely seen enough of the place kicking of Boise. I can't even imagine what the head coach thinks of it. Between the game we had at Toledo and the efforts tonight, so they go for it here on 4th and 1. Harper on the pitch. And Harper spins twice and then stretches forward, so it'll be 1st and goal.
How cool is that with Harper coming back after those knee injuries a couple of years in a row?
Real Deal brought to you by Wendy's as we look at Kellen Moore's evening, which was truncated and cut short to just a half and then part of the 3rd quarter. And you can vote for the Real Deal at ESPN.com on your mobile phone.
You know, he's made a career on Friday nights.
He has.
I mean, his 10 games on Friday night make up for a really, really good season.
Here's Burrows now, and Burrows out to the 3-yard line. When you think about Kellen Moore, you think about him in many of these primetime Friday nights. This will be the 43rd win of his career as he tries to set history, becoming the winningest quarterback. He only has 2 losses, and of course one of them was one of his best performances ever on a Friday night. That thriller that went till nearly 2 in the morning against Nevada last year and cost them a BCS spot. Speaking of place kicking once again. 2nd and goal. Harper. And another touchdown for the Broncos. This one was set up by one of the best interceptions we've seen in some time by Jamar Taylor. And then Southwick comes in and they run the ball into position and eventually push it in.
Well, if I'm Pat Hill, I'm just disappointed that I can't get more energy and enthusiasm out of my defense. They've just been pushed around as that PAT is good.
50-0. The worst loss at home in history of Fresno was 60-0 from the Olympic Club. The sports club up at San Fran?
Are you kidding me?
Back in the day?
Whoa.
Well, some of the fans here in Fresno always supporting their team through thick and thin, and boy, it's awful thin on that scoreboard tonight. That's a goose egg there. 50-0. Half a hunch being hung by the number 5 team in the country. They call this the battle for the milk can. That is a challenge put forth between the dairy industries here in the valley and the dairy folks back in Idaho. And
apples versus potatoes?
Yeah. There's Burse. He's getting a lot of work returning the ball tonight, and he's got the kicker to beat. And he's out to the 49. So tomorrow, noon Eastern on ABC, it is the Red River rivalry. Number 3 Oklahoma, number 11 Texas. College football presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Ron, I look at this game and I say to myself, is Texas really number 11 in the country?
Good question. I think the challenge for Texas is, can you win against a quality opponent with 2 young quarterbacks, 2 inexperienced quarterbacks?
Brent Musburger, Kirk Herbstreit, Aaron Andrews will have that call at noon on ABC. Robbie Rouse, Milton Knox comes into the game and gets his first work of the evening and is taken down for a loss by George Iloka.
You know, that Texas-Oklahoma game, I think in terms of what can Texas do defensively to Landry Jones. I mean, you obviously want to make him move his feet and try to get him outside the pocket because he's deadly in the pocket. I think he's completing something like 74% of his pass. I just don't know how Texas, with young quarterbacks, can measure up with an experienced veteran Oklahoma team.
Who likes to play at a very fast pace.
Yep.
Here's Carr. And he's able to get it complete, but just a gain of about 1.5 yards by Josh Harper. I'll give you another angle on the Texas-Oklahoma game that I'm looking forward to seeing tomorrow. And it's a Boise State angle.
Yeah.
And that is their new offensive coordinator, Brian Harsin. And how much he just tries to pull out of the bag and how much he was holding and waiting for Oklahoma.
Well, yeah, I mean, but how much can he do with young quarterbacks? That's the question. And Manny Diaz, you know, first-year defensive coordinator, has his hands, you know, full with dealing with Landry Jones. I mean, they've got some young guys in that secondary. Can you really affect Landry Jones when you have some young guys on the back end?
2 good young coordinators at Texas. And we'll see how they fare tomorrow down there in Dallas. 3rd and 8. Burse. And Burse is tackled for a loss that time. As the Boise defense does their job and Travis Stanaway.
You think Brent and Herbie were hanging out getting some of the fried Twinkies today?
I'm sure we'll hear the stories, won't we? Of course, you can tune in tomorrow morning and see the whole gang on game day, starting at 9 on ESPNU.
Did we hear something about Chris Fowler and fried nachos and
I think CF was tweeting some pictures of fried food. And so if you get on Twitter and you follow Chris Fowler, check if there's any displays of fried concoctions from the State Fair. Fair catch at the 15. Let's take a look at some of the unlimited action coming up this weekend, brought to you by Sprint. And we look at who can already become bowl eligible with a win tomorrow. We're already at that stage of the season, Rod.
I know, week 6. Biggest surprise on that list, Clemson. Given their schedule, I think going into the season, folks thought Well, they're not going to beat Florida State. And Auburn, who
Virginia
knows?
Tech,
And
too.
Virginia Tech, they can't possibly go undefeated from that.
So this is the first now, the time in a month where they're not facing a ranked team, not facing a huge challenge. They're facing a BC team that has been decimated with injuries and is just not what we've known BC to be for the past 10 years. And here is Drew Wright now getting playing time with under 2 minutes to go in the third. Drew Wright is a seldom used senior walk-on who comes in moments like this, up 50-0. And he picks up 3 as Doug Martin's night is finished. Martin leaves with 94 yards and a touchdown. Joe Southwick, the quarterback, in for Kellen Moore. His second series of the game. And Southwick able to complete this ball. Tyler Shoemaker and a first down for Boise.
Yeah, nice throw to pick up that first down. You know, Tess, one team that wasn't on that bowl eligible list to be Kansas State. We saw them last week against Baylor with that big win. They're a surprise team, undefeated at 4-0.
They are doing it with defense, and they had the big interception last week against RG3 to set up the game-winning field goal. They are last in the Big 12 in yards, and they will be taking on Missouri tomorrow. That game is on ABC or ESPN3 at 3:30. Interested to see how they fare against Missouri. You know, Missouri has some talent on the field. And there's a quick strike that goes incomplete that time as he was trying to connect once again with Tyler Shoemaker.
And how about the job Bill Snyder has done
Amazing.
at Kansas State? Well, it was amazing enough the first time he came in and built that program up.
Do people remember how bad Kansas State football
I don't
was?
think they do.
I mean, Kansas State, for a period of 2 decades,
worst team in college football.
The absolute doormat of all the major conferences.
Yep.
At the bottom of the barrel. And he turned them into a power. Then he left. Things didn't work out. And now he comes back and has them ranked again as Drew Wright with a minimal gain that time, just over the line of scrimmage. Kansas State now number 20 in the country. And as we said, you can see them tomorrow, 3:30 ABC against Missouri, one of the 3:30 games.
That's a good matchup with Missouri. James Franklin at quarterback. Their offense is really starting to roll. We had them at Arizona State.
It's a thriller on Friday night.
Yep.
An overtime game against the Sun Devils, who find themselves at Utah tomorrow. Utah 0-2 in the Pac-12. There's 3rd and 10. Southwick gets it to Wright again, and he picks up a block, goes airborne, and comes up about a yard short of the sticks. So a lot of the reserves for Boise getting playing time as the third quarter comes to an end. It has been utter domination by the Broncos over the Bulldogs. Hoping to avoid a home shutout is Fresno. Joe and Rad with you here on the Friday primetime game as number 5 is just tearing it up here in the Valley. 50-0 as we begin the fourth quarter here. And Fresno set to return the punt. This is Wiley. Squares those shoulders and goes straight ahead. Devin Wiley as Fresno avoids the shutout. 79-yard punt return for a touchdown. And there is a late flag. Where did that thing come from at midfield? Let's see if this stands.
Illegal block in the back by the kicking team. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
So they even had to hold their breath and hope for the best there. Did Fresno, but Pat Hill's crew will not be shut out tonight.
But Devin Wiley did a great job attacking the punt coverage team. He was a full head of steam 2 steps after he got the ball.
Devin Wiley had a 67-yard punt return for a touchdown against Nebraska. And here he has a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown against number 5. He's top 10 in the nation on punt return average, and he's going to be going up those rankings. Tremendous effort here. Our great teamwork is brought to you by Russell Athletic.
Well, teamwork between the quarterback and wide receivers. Kellen Moore working great with his guys. He gets Moore there for a touchdown pass and then comes back for a couple of scores to Baldivine in his return to the team for his first game. One to the corner and a slant.
Kellen Moore was pulled halfway through the 3rd quarter tonight. He left the game with 254 yards and 3 touchdowns. Listen, you know, Kellen Moore has a lot of great stats throughout his career, but first and foremost, this is a guy who's a winner, and winning is what he has done best, and winning is what is probably going to have him on the way to breaking history this season, as tonight will earn him win number 43 in his career, and he'll be all alone sole possession of 2nd place on the all-time win list, ahead of Andy Dalton and David Grinn. Here's DJ Harper on the return. Let's look at that list. All-time winningest quarterbacks, Rod. And the guy from Texas is number 1, but Kellen is going to get there if he stays healthy.
Oh, he's going to get him so long as he is healthy. He'll get Colt McCoy in a few weeks. And how about Chris Peterson taking Kellen Moore out of the ball game, not leaving him in to get a few more touchdowns? Took him out early in the 3rd quarter.
So that 42 is going to change to 43 with this score here. And only 2 losses in his career.
One of the greatest quarterback careers in college football you'll see.
Drew Wright, who has earned his playing time as a walk-on, a senior who's dedicated a lot to this program. Grant Hedrick standing next to Kellen Moore. Hedrick possibly the future of the Boise program. They're going to be a very different looking offense with Hedrick. I mean, Kellen Moore, the last thing you think of when you think of Kellen Moore is a guy who does anything on the ground.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good transition from quarterback to quarterbacks under Dan Hawkins and Chris Peterson. You know, Ryan Dinwiddie at one point in time was their guy.
And here's another guy in Joe Southwick who will be competing for that job once more moves along.
Remember when Kellen Moore was a freshman and all the talk was about the dip Boise State would take turning to a freshman quarterback, a redshirt freshman, and Chris Peterson kept saying, you know, we think he's pretty good. I think he'll be all right.
2008, he was a first-year starter, and he guided Boise to a 12-1 record. He set the NCAA record for the highest completion percentage by a freshman that year. Here's 3rd and 7 now for the sophomore Joe Southwick as they go with the empty backfield. Need to get the ball to 35, and there was some movement.
Illegal snap, number 65, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So it'll make for a 3rd and 7.
Remember,
excuse me, a 3rd and 12.
Yeah, remember, Tess, that Boise State has been hit with some NCAA sanctions, which they are appealing. 3 years probation, reduction in scholarships, reduction of spring practices, fall practices as well. And the tennis program was hit with bigger sanctions.
Southwick on 3rd and 12. And that was almost intercepted as he lofted it up there. And Isaiah Green made a play on the ball. And there was, you know, the NCAA putting forth the allegations that during the summertime that housing and transportation was made available for football players so that they could work out and participate in summer workouts, which were, you know, valid workouts, and that it was done at either a reduced cost or things were picked up for them for free. But we're talking about, when we say improper housing and extra benefits, we're talking about players sleeping on the couches of upperclassmen's apartments. We're not exactly talking about stuff where hotel rooms at the Four Seasons were being set aside. And this is, I think this is, the more you read into the circumstances of the Boise situation with the NCAA, the more you see this officious bureaucracy of the NCAA that rears its ugly head every so often.
Well, I think the concern by most people and coaches is that, you know, there are too many petty rules. And even the president of the NCAA has come out and said, look, we got to look at what we're enforcing, which things we're focusing on. And I think the tolerance level for these types of things is really being exceeded now. When the president comes out and says, hey, we got to look at this, it needs to be addressed. And I think the Boise State people would say they've had a couple of those issues that came up, and they are good examples of ticky-tack rules that are being enforced that really shouldn't be. The rules need to be changed.
Here's Milton Knox, and Knox gets out to the 35. And much of the same can be said about the 3 Dutch players who were, you know, under investigation with their eligibility.
Well, at least one of them we know of.
Well, Cedric Fabus came back a few weeks ago, and Geraldo Boldevine was reinstated this week. But those were also circumstances that you shake your head at. You say to yourself, really? Well, we were worried about their eligibility over that?
Well, wasn't the Fabus eligibility issue over the use of a 21-year-old car that had 180,000 miles on it?
As an improper benefit.
Yeah.
And there was also circumstances of, okay, well, the payback for these extra benefits in one case should be $20.
Right.
$20, and a player is missing a month of this rare gift of having your college sports experience. So Fabus and Boldevine have returned. As you see Fabus there, they're still waiting on the eligibility of Ricky Chongacho, their 300-pound defensive lineman. Now, I'll tell you this, Rod.
Well, let me tell you this. When someone gives you a car with 180,000 miles on it, that's not a benefit. That's a liability. If you're driving a car with that, that's a liability.
It's a 21-year-old car with 100. I'd rather take the bus, thank you very much. That's not exactly a benefit. And this is Knox again picking up the first down. But the guy who did return tonight, Geraldo Boldevine, the 6'4" receiver, number 17, who we saw. Now, this is a guy that I think now that he's back gives them a different kind of dimension that they lacked for the first part of the season.
Yeah, the real question is where was the deep threat for the Boise State passing attack? The thing they had last year with Austin Pettis, with Titus Young, that kind of went away. Boldevine is the guy who could give them that they might need later in the year, particularly in the postseason.
I'll make Kellen smile even more. First down for Fresno here. Derek Carr steps up away from the pressure, launches it downfield, and Saunders just off the fingers. He even had a play once it was in midair and tipped and deflected, as Jamar Taylor had coverage, and Taylor is down at the goal line, and that is the last thing that Pete Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator, wants to see.
They are running thin on corners. Terrell Gavins is already out. Now watch what happens to Saunders here. He slows down and initiates contact. I think that caused him to lose his concentration, and he drops the ball, but Taylor somehow got hurt on that play.
So the starting cornerback, Jamar Taylor, is being tended to as we take a break.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Russell Athletic, who remind you that together we are. And in part by AT&T. Get it faster with 4G. Rethink possible.
Bulldogs number 4, Carr, quarterback. Tonight, not a night to remember, though. 13 to 25, 110 yards, no touchdowns, an interception. The lone score of the night was the punt return by Wiley. And here is Derrick to Harper, and Harper crosses midfield. Well, tonight we told you, listen, they got a couple playmakers, undersized guys that have had really good stats on the year. The stats weren't good tonight, Rod.
Well, they never got Saunders involved. And he's a deep threat. They've only gone after him twice. Deep balls. One he just couldn't quite come up with. The other one was perfectly thrown. He dropped it on the goal line. And that's been it. Other than that, he's not been a factor in the offense. And Rouse has done the best job he's been able to do with 10 touches, averaging over 7 yards a carry, but no outside threat.
Harper again misses the first, makes the second one miss, and he's going to be just short of that line to make. And finally, Aloka came in.
Great pursuit by Boise State. 2 guys got juked, but Iloka, the third guy in pursuit, is over there to keep Harper from getting the first down. That's one of the things about this defense. You start looking around the country, you talk about LSU's defense, Alabama's. How far back do you push Boise State's defense? It's pretty good.
LSU and Alabama, extraordinary defenses. Here's a 4th and 1. And Knox gets the call, and Knox gets the first down. I mean, LSU and Alabama's defenses are truly extraordinary. Statistically, Alabama is the best in the country. The only reason LSU isn't there statistically is because of that 4th quarter against West Virginia when Geno Smith went off. He threw for 400 yards. Boise, obviously, the talent on Alabama and LSU defensively, they're going pro. You got big-time guys here. Boise has a team defense, concept, schematically, what they do. They're just a cut below. They're right there.
What I would find intriguing is a Boise State defense against an LSU offense or an Alabama offense, while the Boise State offense takes on their defense.
Knox now. There's a good run by Milton Knox, a gain of 9. You know what I would find intriguing? I think as the year goes on, Rod, there's going to be just the common understanding that the winner of the LSU-Alabama game is the #1 team in the country, headed to the SEC title game, eventually headed to a BCS title game.
Agreed.
That whatever happens as things thin out in the Big 12 with Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, that's going to be the other team.
I don't know about that.
You like Wisconsin?
Well, no, you are eliminating Wisconsin, and you're possibly eliminating a Pac-12 champion. And I think, given Boise State's schedule and what could happen in the Big 12, you may have to consider Pac-12 or Big 10 champion.
Here's Knox again. He picks up the first down. Obviously, you're only speaking of Stanford winning the Pac-12 championship with a win over Oregon and then being undefeated, winning a Pac-12 title game against a ranked Arizona State team would be your best bet because Oregon already has the loss to LSU.
Right, and then you're also considering a Wisconsin team that would go through the Big 10 undefeated. And now if you got Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Stanford, Boise State, if those 4 are undefeated, you got some issues.
Where I struggle with the argument of the Wisconsin and or the Stanford, let me get this play in here as they go with the screen and they pick up just 2 yards of Saunders, is I do not believe that a Wisconsin or Stanford team will surpass an Oklahoma team that runs the table with victories over Texas and Oklahoma State and everybody.
How can you even say that in week 6?
No, I'm just saying what I think the voters and the fans and the perception will be as the year goes on.
But there's
Obviously,
so much football left to play.
So much football. There's so much football.
Exactly. I don't know how you can say that right now after 4 wins, 5 wins. There's so much football left. I mean, who knows what you might think of an Illinois team if they continue to run the table in the Big Ten, or what you may think.
See, now you're just bringing me down a road, right? You can't come on with the. Can we just talk about these teams up in the top? We get the Illinois team.
Well, I'm talking about
they've
Wisconsin.
Had a nice season. They got Indiana tomorrow.
If Wisconsin
talk about
have a big win over an Illinois team. Now you look at this schedule.
Yes.
You can't convince me if we're right about Texas, let's say Texas falls
they
off.
handle them tomorrow.
Then you look at the schedule, really the only compelling game becomes Oklahoma State at the end of the year.
But Texas A&M isn't compelling? They got 4 ranked teams left.
Texas A&M?
Well, they blew these 2 big leads the last 2 weeks, but okay, so see now
blown 2 big ones early in the season already.
Very talented team, very competitive team. So the line has been drawn here in week 6 between us. I don't think people are going to overtake an Oklahoma team that runs the table.
There's so much football left that you have to see how teams produce, and not based on reputation or expectations. There's so much football left.
Now, understand what I'm saying here is this is how I think it'll play out because of the way people perceive things.
What I'm saying
Oklahoma
here
entrenched at number 3.
I'm wondering if Fresno State can pick this up here.
4th and 2. By the way, we're taking this thing back to, a bottle of vino and an airport discussion tomorrow morning over an egg and cheese. And that is incomplete on 4th and 2.
That's Brian Douglas getting up, making a play. The freshman cornerback who came in for Taylor, going high. He's not a big guy, only 160 pounds, but he got up and made a big play.
By the way, we're going to have a boatload of undefeated teams this year. I mean, they're going to be filling up an arc of these things.
You want chaos, don't you?
You're going to have complete chaos this year, and Boise's going to be right in the middle of it. Those 2 bracelets on the right wrist of head coach Pat Hill. He says, listen, we got 2 special ladies out there. Want to let them know we're thinking about them. Nanny Sue and Brianna. And Pat, great humanity to Pat Hill. He's a tough guy with a big heart. And he made a point pregame today to say, hey, there's 2 people we're really thinking about out there that we just want to let them know that they're in our thoughts. That is Lambert with the carry, Raphael Lambert.
He's a tough guy, but like so many others, thinking about some really significant issues like breast cancer awareness month, as this is, and he's got people he's thinking about, and just about everyone across the country has someone that's been affected that they're thinking about.
Grant Hedrick, redshirt freshman, playing quarterback for Boise, as Lambert continues to get a few more carries here. It's been 14 years at Fresno for Pat Hill. Only 1 win against Boise during that time. But really, I mean, defining this era of Fresno State football and all the success in the WAC and producing top-level NFL prospects and bowl wins. And he is Fresno State football.
Well, the thing that gets overlooked is about what a great job he does getting his kids to go to class and to graduate.
3rd and 8, and a tough run by Wright will fall well short. As under 4.5 minutes to go here, Boise State and Oregon come up with very impressive efforts as we head into this weekend of college football. That'll see LSU playing Florida, and Oklahoma and Texas, and Arkansas and Auburn. What is your big, hey, I got to see this game tomorrow, Rod Gilmore?
Well, I'm certainly focused on the Oklahoma-Texas game, and I'm also really intrigued to see Alabama play that Vanderbilt defense. I want to see Trent Richardson against the Vandy defense.
I think you'll see a lot of him running the ball very well is what I think you'll see. We'll talk about a little more of the games on Saturday here as we see the flag.
Arkansas,
Are you working
Auburn
tomorrow, by the way?
I'm going to spend the day in the studios at ESPNU watching a lot of games.
Well, that'll be good. I'll be tuning you in, seeing what you have to say.
That Arkansas-Auburn game, I think Auburn's for real.
Illegal block in the back, number 30 of the return team during the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Auburn.
Timeout.
Auburn went from unranked to now number 15. Play Arkansas tomorrow, 7 o'clock, ESPN. The Red River rivalry game From the Cotton Bowl, number 3 Oklahoma, number 11 Texas, college football presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. That'll be tomorrow at noon Eastern on ABC with Brent Musburger, Kirk Herbstreit, and Aaron Andrews. Greg Watson now playing quarterback for Fresno. And Michael Harris getting the carry out to the 38. Of course, Brian Harsin is the offensive coordinator at Texas, and he's the former offensive coordinator who was here with the Boise State Broncos.
Matching wits with Bob Stoops, new company. Josh Heupel, offensive coordinator for Oklahoma.
Former quarterback for the Sooners.
That's going to be neat. Neat little matchup.
See what Landry Jones and Mr. Ryan Broyles will offer up.
What a combination.
When they're on, watch out. 2nd and 6 now. Michael Harris and Watson. And taken down at the 39. Reminder that Sports Center will be coming up after we wrap things up and they hand out the milk can. The battle for the milk can in the sport that loves the obscure trophy. This is one as the dairy industries between those in the valley here of Central California and the dairy people back in Idaho hand out the milk can to the winner of Boise State and Fresno State.
And Boise State brought the milk can down with them.
Which is not easy as a carry-on luggage to do. Play clock coming down, and they're going to burn a timeout. So it gives us an opportunity to discuss the conference storylines as it affects Boise State and Fresno State and the WAC and the Mountain West. Now, you know, Boise is already in the Mountain West, and they're going to be facing that schedule. October 15th, they face Colorado State. Fresno is in their final season in the WAC before they go over to meet Boise and Nevada joining up there. And TCU, well, their final season in the Mountain West, they were headed to the Big East, and then, oh, the news came in this week, didn't it, Ron?
Oh, looks like they're going to be heading to the Big 12, and that's something it appears that the TCU folks have been looking for the last few years. Felt slighted that they weren't originally included in the Big 12.
I think it's just such an easy fit. Obviously, I mean, they were a part of the old Southwest Conference, which good group became the Big 12, and now they're back with many of their traditional rivals.
Makes you wonder about the Mountain West Conference. You know, Boise State thought the Mountain West was going to be something else. No BYU.
No Utah.
No Utah. No TCU.
Interception. As Boise is going to be able to run out this clock. I believe that was Jake Hardy who came in with the pickoff there.
Well, the youngster at quarterback, Watson, throws his ball behind his receiver. And then there's the pickoff by Hardy. And it just gets uglier for Pat Hill and Fresno State.
So 6 straight losses, including tonight's outcome. Been blown away on the scoreboard. Last year was 51-zip. This year, 50-7. Just the punt return for a touchdown was the only thing that kept them away from the shutout. Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues at Kansas. Coverage begins Sunday on ESPN at 1 Eastern. That telecast is presented by Dodge, and according to Rod Gilmore, Don King should be promoting this bout between Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, they're not the best of friends, and everybody wrote Jimmy Johnson off the first couple of weeks, but he got back into the hunt last week with a second-place finish. But his arch enemy won, Kurt Busch.
Points leaders, of course, Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards, so that is Sunday at 1.
That race is a long way from over.
Sports Center is soon to follow us. They'll get you up to speed on all the happenings in the baseball postseason. Got ourselves a Milwaukee-St. Louis showdown in the NL.
Milwaukee's a fun team.
Hard surprising some people what they were able to accomplish. No surprises here tonight in Fresno as Kellen Moore and company were as advertised. More passes for 3 touchdowns, throws for 254, gets a seat on the bench halfway through the third to put the baseball cap on and just enjoy watching his teammates cruise to win number 5 on the year.
Well, we talked about 2001 when Boise State came down here and beat Fresno State, and that was the shift between the two programs. And since that time, Boise State has really taken off, and Fresno State relinquished the title of the big non-BCS team.
And here goes Hedrick, and the scoreboard isn't done flashing just yet.
Hedrick, the quarterback in for the touchdown.
He is an athletic quarterback. Good change of pace guy. They use him with that option play. He's got good speed. They've used him all season. He played against Georgia in special situations in the opening game.
Yep, he is a legitimate part of their offense, not just a guy that subs in at the end of a game like this. They will throw him into the mix, pull Kellen Moore out of the game, run that option package. Sports Center coming up as soon as we're finished up here in Fresno, as Hedrick is all smiles on the sideline, bringing it in here. But it's their starting quarterback, Kellen Moore, who will continue to be the story as the year goes on. Second place all alone now in terms of career wins. And in terms of wins since 2002, we talked about that 2001 turning point in this series. 111 now.
Yeah, and you wipe out USC and Ohio State because of their infractions. They come off the list, and Oklahoma sits there as the number 2 team.
Career numbers 12,258, 116 touchdown passes, but the number that he is most proud of is 43-2. That is Kellen Moore's overall record as a starting quarterback. He is 2 away from tying Colt McCoy for tops on that list as he looks to become the winningest quarterback in college football history this season. There's the touchdown list. Case Keenum out in front. Houston quarterback is back after his knee injury. Keenum's trying to get after Colt Brennan next as Kellen has worked his way up to now 116.
Yeah, Case Keenum is going to be the tough one on the list for Kellen Moore, because Keenum will continue to put up touchdown passes the rest of the season, assuming he stays healthy.
And Knox will finish off what was a very frustrating night for Fresno. Number 5 in the country, now 5-0. Add more hits to the list for Kellen Moore. 3 more touchdown passes as Boise State rolls tonight, 57-7. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Rod Gilmore and the entire crew, I'm Joe Tessitore. We thank you for being with us, and we hope you stick around for Sports Center right now.